Hi, I'm Debbie Sardone, and I own a $1 million maid service near Dallas, Texas. I started my business over 35 years ago. Today, we have over 400 recurring customers. Our annual sales are around 1.3 million. We have 35 employees on any given day. We generally maintain a 4.5-star rating on most of the review sites, and we have very low employee turnover. And recently, our company was voted top 3 best places to work in our town. Now, I'm very active on several Facebook groups, private maid service cleaning business groups, and recently Amar posted an outstanding question in the Zen Maid Mastermind group. And his question for cleaning business owners was, if you were hit by a bus, what would happen to your business? And I thought it was a very good question to ask because it gets people thinking about their circumstances. And many people were quite honest and candid about what would happen in their business if they were hit by a bus. And of course, you could ask that question many different ways to apply to your situation. What if you broke both legs? Or what if you had to go out of the country for 3 months? What would happen to your business? The sad truth of it is, most business owners have to admit their business would not do well at all. Either the cleaning would stop altogether because the cleaning business owner is still out in the field doing all the cleaning, or at least participating in most of the cleaning. Or they would admit that even if they're not doing the cleaning, that profits and quality and sales and hiring would tank practically overnight if they were no longer able to run their business. And I appreciate the honesty and the candidness. And the reason why I thought I would address this question is because I believe cleaning business owners need to have hope that what they're experiencing in business today, even if it is an industry norm, even if it's typical for most cleaning business owners, it doesn't have to be that way. Now, I will have to say I haven't always felt this way about my business. I remember the days of absolute, utter frustration. I remember having my weekends ruined time and time again because on Friday, an employee would come in and quit without notice, hand over her keys, turn in her bucket, and say, I can't do this anymore. And oftentimes it was an employee that had already been a bad employee for weeks or even months, and I didn't even have the luxury of firing them because I didn't have any leverage. I had to tolerate their bad behavior until they quit on me. You talk about humiliating. I remember the feeling as a business owner of having no leverage with my staff. That is humbling. It's actually humiliating to be bullied verbally by people who work for you because you have no options. If you tell them about a customer complaint because they were sloppy and in a hurry and they get their feelings hurt and they start to threaten to quit and you have nobody to fill in for them if they do quit, you learn to suck it up and suck up to that employee and tolerate bad behavior, bad attitudes, and bad service. I didn't realize at the time. My business was broken. It did not work. My employee turnover was out of control, and frustration over my eroding profits was keeping me awake at night. I had many sleepless nights wondering, how am I going to pay my bills and where's all the money going? Money was going out the back door just as fast as I could bring it in the front door, and I didn't understand what was going on. My business had plateaued. It had reached a certain size. I couldn't get it to grow above that size, and then I began to see it shrink. It was actually going backwards. During a time of discovery, which I won't bore you with all the details, I learned there were 3 major areas that actually had to shift in my business, and then things began to turn around. First of all, I had to stop blaming external factors for my internal problems. I have news for you. If you have chronic issues in your business, if you have chronic problems, it's a system failure. It's not a people failure. Contrary to most people will tell you, it's not a people failure. It's a system failure. You know what? If you're having chronic problems, it isn't all those lazy employees, that lousy American work ethic. It isn't the fact that there's too many cheap competition, too many cheap competitors out there. It isn't that customers are now super price sensitive thanks to the whole Groupon mentality. Those are external factors, and we blame our business failure on the external when the reality is the problem is within. The problem is a system failure, and once I recognized that, I had the ability to turn my business around. Another thing that I had to realize was that I had reached my capacity on my own. As a business owner, I had limitations of knowledge. I didn't really know how to solve my employee problems, my operational chaos, my declining quality, my pathetic profits. I didn't know how to fix those issues. I knew how to win a customer. I was great at sales. I was friendly. My employees liked me, but I couldn't fix these chronic problems. I had to come to the realization that I had reached my capacity on my own. I needed help. I needed to invest in myself. I needed to invest in my training and my knowledge. And then third, I needed a tactical shift. In other words, I needed to recognize that my high employee turnover, my operational chaos, my dwindling profits was because I was doing something wrong. And if I could shift my tactics, I could fix those things. I needed a tactical shift. One of the first things that I fixed in my business was my pricing. It was way off. I was way undercharging. And I remember feeling at the time, well, I can't really raise my prices right now because we're struggling to deliver our promises. We're not really doing the kind of quality work that we need to get to. And so I was afraid to raise my prices. And pricing was a severe problem in my company. I needed to fix it, and I did. And then I needed to approach hiring employees differently. I had the whole hiring and onboarding employee process backwards. I had it all wrong, and it wasn't working. And then I also needed to discover the relationship that profits have with revenue. I needed to discover the relationship that direct labor has with revenue and overhead and how to control all of those numbers. I didn't know at the time. And I had to discover that all of those numbers needed to be controlled. They needed to be within my control and that it was possible. The good news is I turned things around. It was hard work, but it was worth it. I turned my business around. Now that was 20 years ago, all of those frustrations. My business today looks completely different than it did during the low point that I've just described. First of all, I have career cleaners that work for us that are bringing in over $100,000 a month to our business. We have an amazing automated training program that actually produces good workers in a short period of time. Our staff is happy. How often do you hear that in a cleaning business? And now I have a self-running business. This is practically unheard of in our industry because it's such a people-centric business. So many people don't believe they can have a self-running business. I have documented and automated every process in my business so that now I get to do what I love every single day. I'm an absentee owner, and I'm proud of where my business is today. I get to travel for my nonprofit and speak around the country. And I actually only go into my office 2 to 3 times a month for about an hour. I meet with my admin staff. I meet with my office manager. We go over the numbers. Sometimes we solve problems by phone. But I only go into my office 2 to 3 times a month. On a crazy month, if I'm not traveling, I might go in 4 times, but no more than an hour at each visit. I get to be more of a consulting role with my business. The result of creating an automated business, of fixing what's broken in your systems, is you can generate a really good income and the freedom to do what you want to do. every single day. You might use that freedom to grow your business bigger. You might use that freedom to do something else, but at least it's your freedom and you get to control it however you want. This is only possible if you fix what's broken in your business, if you grow past your own limitations, and then you automate what is proven to already work. And then you'll have the income and the freedom that you always dreamed you'd have when you started your cleaning business. In my next video, I am going to share some tips with you to help you fix some of the processes and systems that are broken in your business, some things that could be causing you frustration, lost profits, and possibly thousands of dollars in lost revenue. If you follow my advice, I promise you, you will begin to solve some of your problems with the right solutions.